All right, this is my favorite time of the day. It's after the MMA beat. This is when things get a little nutty, a little crazy. Luke cracks his knuckles. We let our hair down. Sometimes Chuck takes off his hat.
Every now and again, yeah.
Yeah.
1 second.
It's wild. One time Danny shaved his mustache.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. All right, let's start. First question, here we go. Answering some of your questions that you sent earlier today. Here we go. What would your chosen topic be if ESPN was going to make an MMA-themed 30 for 30? So 30 for 30 documentaries, I'm sure most people have seen those.
Maybe the Lee Murray story, right? Like,
wow, that's
What
a
a great
fantastic
call.
one.
What a great call.
That is a fantastic one.
Well, especially because there were so many weird elements to it. Remember the Tito Ortiz fight in London?
Yes,
like,
yes,
I mean, there's just so many different elements to that. I would personally like to see that, and I know that it's a tough thing to put together because he's inaccessible, but it's one of those things that I would be interested in seeing.
That's a fantastic one. That really is.
You know, obviously Dana White wants to see the John Jones one, so there's that. I would go a little bit of a different. Remember he said that. I was there when he said it at the Tough Gym. I will go a bit of a different direction. I know that there's been a ton of coverage of this guy throughout his whole life, but I would like to see the 30 for 30 treatment of Kimbo Slice.
Ah,
I think, and by the way,
great one.
speaking of January 20th, they're going to have those Kimbo bobbleheads.
Yes.
Kimbo lives on, man, and people are still have strong affection for him, and I always feel like there's a new wrinkle whenever 30 for 30 gets their hands on a story. I would like to see what they could do with that.
Wow, that is such a great one. You know why? I'm lucky enough to have one of those Kimbo bobbleheads.
Yeah.
They sent us one.
Yep.
Thank you very much to the good people at Bellator for
Asked
that.
for one. I didn't
And you didn't.
I got one.
Well,
I didn't get one.
I think
I
that
got
kind
Couture. I must have.
Yeah, Couture was the low-selling one.
The Bjorn Rebney one, you mean?
Yeah. I brought it home because it's really special, and I think it's the best of the ones that they put out. But all this to say, I showed it to my son, my oldest son, and he was like, wow, that guy looks scary. And my son does not, he's 5. He shows no interest in MMA, but he was intrigued by this guy with the beard and the gold chain. And then we actually sat down and I showed him like some of his fights to YouTube leading up to the Petrozelli fight, like the Tank Abbott fight, the debut, all that stuff. And he was like fascinated by this man. Yeah. And so to your point, there was just something about him, right?
He's magnetizing.
Really, I really miss that guy.
Audi belly button. That was always a big thing.
No, how about the chest hair? Yeah, but then sometimes you do half chest.
Yeah.
Remember that?
He's only in his heart, no?
Yeah. What do you got? What do you got, Danny? Anything?
I don't
you know
know
what 30 for 30 is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I believe I've seen a couple.
I was kidding.
That's good.
There's actually one about
You're quite familiar.
Colombian soccer.
Yeah, the Colombian soccer.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's a very good one. I'm very interested, in immigrant stories. I think Yoel Romero has a very interesting story. This is a guy that, lived in Cuba, became one of the best wrestlers, defected in Germany and made his way to the U.S. And then, somehow now he's, a UFC contender and he could possibly win a title this year. Who knows? I think his story is very interesting. Talking to him, there's a lot about him that a lot of people don't know.
The easy answer, obviously, is UFC 1. But I feel like that's kind of been told. They actually did a great 30 for 30 audio documentary. Have you guys heard it?
I did hear it, actually, just last week.
I highly recommend it.
I saw that it was out, but I didn't.
You can download it on iTunes. Yeah. It's really good. 2 that I would throw out. 1, and it may seem like, it's new and we know enough about it, but there was a stretch from UFC 196 to UFC 202 between Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz, how they really revolutionized the sport and how they kind of work together without working together. Mm-hmm. And you remember the press conference, Conor doesn't show up, 100%. Nate shows up, the empty seat. Dana thinks that Nate's gonna be on his side. He actually turns the table and goes on Conor's side. I mean, there was just so much that happened behind the scene, leading up to 196 and then leading up to 202 with Conor and the sale and all the things. Mm-hmm. There's a great, I've often felt that there's a book to be written on just that stretch right there. And also I feel like the wild and wacky days of Pride, with all the crazy matchmaking and the behind-the-scenes stuff.
I think you could do a 30 for 30 on Dana White's tombstone, the one he brought out, all the organizations that died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not to...
Is that a short or is that a full-length
I don't know, but I feel like... I talked to fans. I talk to fans now. We were talking about how people shouldn't do the USA chant. And I remember hearing it when Trevor Prangley fought Yuki Kondo. Here's the problem. Trevor Prangley is not American. He is South African.
Yes.
So it was a bunch of just racist douchebags.
By the way, have you seen I Hate Christian Laettner? Have you seen?
Yes, I have seen it. Fantastic.
You're like the star of that one.
Point being is there's a story to be told about Bodog Fight. Like Jeff Osborne's stories about Bodog Fight are insane.
And some of that would be educational because so many people don't even weren't paying attention in those days. You know
so the
I mean?
umbrella is the tombstone, but who were these organizations, right?
You know, what do you know about the Quad City Silverbacks? You don't sabe.
Ben Folks would be all over that.
Say,
he'd be the resident IFL expert. Okay, what else do we have? That was a good one. I like that one. If Ronda Rousey will definitely, according to this man, Joe from Houston.
He's still my heart.
Probably,
from H-Town.
Probably tweeted this while having some French fries. He knows what I'm talking about. Will definitely be in the Royal Rumble in 2 weeks, or WrestleMania in April. How would you script her WWE debut? Let me go to Luke on this one because I know he's thought about it a lot.
Specialist in this topic.
I'm sure you guys saw TMZ a couple days ago. Triple H, Brad Slater, Ronda Rousey having dinner.
Nope.
Things are getting hot.
Yep.
Things are getting heavy.
How would I script it?
And as you know, the Royal Rumble coming up in a couple of weeks, there's going to be an all-female Royal Rumble for the first time ever.
Right?
So 30 females. A lot of people think, does Ronda debut there? What do you think? How do you script her WWE debut?
Tough one.
I don't know because I'll be shooting myself in the face with liquid Ebola.
Okay, so then let me turn the tables. Are you at all interested in her WWE debut?
I mean, it is not possible for me to give an F less.
Let me ask you another question. Are they overvaluing her value? Meaning, they're obviously signing her because she's a name and because she had success in MMA.
Yeah.
But do you think maybe that a lot of MMA fans feel the same way that you do? That the MMA fans won't follow her the way they think they'll follow her?
I don't know if the fans will follow her, but if you're asking me, could her popularity be resuscitated?
Yeah.
I actually think it could, yes. I think if you do enough of a pivot away, and you know, obviously there's overlap between wrestling and MMA, but I think if you can do enough of a pivot away to something, and you know, let's assume that she doesn't have much of a speaking role, because that might limit her, then yeah, it could be successful, yeah.
Okay, but no, the real question is she not as popular as they think she is?
That's a question for Dave Meltzer. I don't know the answer to that.
No, that's a question for an MMA person. Is she not as popular in the world of MMA? They're going to try to bring the MMA audience over because she was such a big deal over here. But is she not as popular?
Don't you think she has a mainstream fan base still?
She definitely has a mainstream fan base.
You think
but
so?
But as far as like MMA fans, just the way her career ended. Well, we don't even know if has she retired officially?
No.
Yeah. So I guess you can't even put it's just a weird situation. I don't think a lot of fans are going to be like, oh wow, Ronda Rousey's on WWE.
Right. I think initially people will tune in. Obviously, like I think there'll be basic intrigue because she's been so far out of the spotlight. I think that there'll be basic intrigue to see her again in whatever role she's doing because that would be like her new occupation. But at the same time, I can't imagine watching it beyond just that, just a basic curiosity of seeing it. And it's a very my son watches a lot of WWE and stuff. It's kind of it's a hard gig, man. Like the whole character, the extended character, and selling that stuff. That's tough. I'm not sure she's capable of it. That's what I haven't seen that side of her. So it's like it's a weird. I guess there's some basic intrigue on that level. Can she pull that off?
Yeah, probably take notes from Rampage and Tito, who were hitting each other with hammers over on TNA. When TNA was on.
King Mo also, he found out it's not as easy as it looks.
That was not a very easy. They could not go back.
I would say that obviously Shayna Baszler is kind of making her way, and she's got people around her who are actually doing a very good job of transitioning into that world. So,
but like anything, it's one or the other, man.
Yeah.
I'll add two things. I think anyone who thinks that she's just gonna magically appear in the Royal Rumble or something like that, I think that would be a gigantic mistake. You have to promote her debut. Her first time stepping in a ring and getting active, that's something you need to capitalize on. So don't make it a sneak attack.
Yeah.
And I'll also say, honestly, go back and if you guys can find this TMZ clip that came out, I think it was yesterday. She's having dinner with Triple H and her agent, Brad Slater, and they're leaving, and the TMZ guy comes up to her. Who knows if that's all planned. But this was actually a very different Ronda Rousey. So it's very clear that her agent didn't want her to talk to the camera, and I don't know if this is all acting, but she's like, what's your name? Oh, where are you from? TMZ? She's very... She was very sweet, and it was someone who almost was I think... she was trying to repackage herself. I think she knows that the exit, as you said, wasn't very graceful. And I think in hindsight, they'd probably do it differently, knowing that this is probably coming. And it looked like she was trying very hard.
Those nuances are tough. She had the perfect platform on Saturday Night Live, things like that, where she could have done something to change that. she didn't do
it really struck me that she's trying to change that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Clearly a great sense of humor.
Yes.
Was the big takeaway from there.
Yeah. All right. So stay tuned for that. What else do we have? What's a more important fight for MMA? McGregor-Ferguson or Demetrius Johnson versus TJ Dillashaw?
MMA?
Yeah.
Boy, that is a good question.
And by the way, DJ, not TJ, DJ had shoulder surgery yesterday, but it's not going to put him out for too long, so don't think I saw
Do you know exactly what kind of surgery he had?
The exact injury I don't, because he didn't want to tell me because he said he was going to say it on his Twitch feed. He's very into the Twitch feed, as you know. But I know it's his left shoulder, and I know he also had injections in his right. But what the issue was, I don't know.
That's interesting.
The question is, what fight is more important to him?
For MMA? Or
I would say it's McGregor-Ferguson because, I mean, I feel like a fight between TJ and DJ, that's just a bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, both guys will be defending, they're healthy, will be defending, their belts, their training. I mean, there's no question on, is Demetrius Johnson going to return? Is TJ Dillashaw going to return? There's a question about that for Conor McGregor. When is he going to come back? And it's holding up a division. Meanwhile, the flyweight division right now or the bantamweight division is not being held up. So I think, for MMA right now, for an entire division, which is one of the best divisions in MMA, in the UFC, the lightweight division, Ferguson, McGregor.
It's just, it gets things moving again, man. It's like all this clogged chi, in this division in the UFC. I feel like it all comes down to
It's a pretty easy answer, no?
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be the McGregor.
There is some value. I mean, I don't think we can dismiss Dillashaw versus Johnson that easily, though. That isn't a very intriguing fight.
But for the sport.
For the sport, no, I would agree. McGregor-Ferguson, in part because it does all the things you need it to symbolically.
Yeah.
And also it's because I'm sorry, I feel like lightweight is the marquee division right now. I know bantamweight, close second for me.
No, lightweight now is
But I mean, that is the crown jewel, and that jewel needs to be paraded a little bit.
Yeah.
And so for that reason as well.
All right.
I'll grant that.
Okay, what else do we have? Here we go.
Favorite cereal.
All right.
Bro, I don't eat cereal at all.
Ever?
No, I mean, that's since I was a kid.
Well, right now? Never? Like not even on like a random, Saturday morning? While having cartoons?
While I watch cartoons, yeah. Well, you have kids, though.
Yeah.
So you got tons of cereal in the house.
Oh, my God. We may have like 65 boxes in our house.
Oh, my God.
Different
We got a lot.
cereals. Like, you think Jerry Seinfeld had a lot of cereals?
I would say growing up, here's what I would say. Growing up, my top 3 were #1 seed and F your life if you disagree. Frosted Flakes. I feel like Frosted Flakes were just, Tony the Tiger and me could not be more
Frosted Flakes.
simpatico.
But a little bland.
The milk afterwards, oh my God, tremendo.
Yeah.
And then Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's what I'm talking about.
Cinnamon
Okay.
Toast Crunch is the truth.
Yeah.
And then third, I would say, I'll come in with a bit of a side angle here, and I'll say Cheerios are for losers and virgins.
Okay, I was gonna say.
And I'll go Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch not bad.
Captain Crunch
Too much sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah, it was.
I feel like it's
very
too sweet.
sugary.
Yeah,
very sugary.
Frosted Flakes is fine.
Really?
In Colombia, there's this very popular cereal called Flips.
Flips.
I think you can kind of get it here at some markets, but it's really good.
Is it a knockoff of something that?
Everything in Colombia.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It would be described as, no, I feel like actually here in America, they made a cereal based off that one.
Wow,
which is
what a
called,
claim.
I think it's called, is it Crave or something? It's like these little pockets with chocolate in it. I know the commercial is like
Crave.
these little pockets
think
chasing
so, yeah.
like chocolate and eating it. And there was like a big like advertisement, and I know like, not recent, but like a few years ago, but Flips has been around since like I was a kid. It's
Really?
amazing.
Okay.
The forgotten monster cereal was Fruit Brute. I mean, come on, you guys know
What?
Fruit Brute. It was like, you remember the Mummy? There's Count Chocula and there's Frankenberry.
Yeah, that was
There's
overrated
Fruit Brute.
basura is what that is.
So that was really good, and I enjoyed that. But I'd say maybe Golden Grams. I really enjoyed.
Wow.
Golden
I've
Grams.
never
right,
even
and
had
Kix.
it, but that doesn't
I like Kix.
Golden Grams.
And, but I like the ones that
These are
aren't
the
too
ones.
sweet.
These are the ones that I would
Grape
walk
Nuts
by
is
as a
really
kid and be
good.
like,
Grape Nuts-
this is a 75.
Grape Nuts is really
Grape
good.
Nuts.
And then there's
75-year-old
one
grandmas
called
have that.
Uncle Sam, which is one that's kind of, it's more about
You're
cleaning
kidding.
it out.
This is one that you want like to get regular. Those are the ones, right?
Exactly, but they're very good.
Oh my God! I always
the
pictured
sugar
like
on there.
Golden Girls eating those, like those, like Betty White. You know what I mean?
I always felt like grape nuts was just some trick. It's like, we're going to give you the worst part of a grape.
You're being serious right now?
I eat them.
Oh, wait,
What?
you currently eat them or as a kid?
Both.
Wow.
I used to love Uncle Sam's, man.
Wow. I don't even, wow.
Also overrated, Honey Smacks.
Yeah, that's whack.
Honey Smacks.
There's two that you guys
douchebags.
missed that are phenomenal.
Which
one? Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, how could I forget?
I was going to say, they get soggy.
You're
You got to be right on top of it. They get soggy.
That's fine. And
But
then the one that was so special when you got it, and my mom didn't want to get it all the time, but Cookie Crisp.
I have not had that in so long. I forgot it existed.
What about Apple Jacks? Awesome.
Applejack, the milk and Apple Jacks also 10 out of 10.
In my older age, I'm a big fiber one.
You're choking out his cereal with Metamucil as well. So you have honestly the saddest cereal in your house I've ever heard.
Well, we have other cereals. I'm just telling you my favorites.
Oh my God, that is amazing. All right. What else do we have? Favorite video game as a child?
Super easy.
Oh yeah?
Super easy.
Really?
Mortal Kombat.
Interesting, okay.
And in particular, Mortal Kombat 2. I'll never forget the first time I saw Shang Tsung morph into Liu Kang. Liu Kang morphs into the dragon, and then he ate the top of the torso. And I was like, it was like Beavis and Butthead. It was like, come to Butthead.
You couldn't get enough.
But that was back in the day when they had arcades.
Yeah.
And this is, I was a bit of a late bloomer when it came to the ladies. So, hey, let's go to the arcade and just spend all of our lawn mowing money there. And I did all that for summer after summer, man.
So, Danny, what are you playing right now?
Yeah, no, still in your youth.
No, but okay, so I'll build up to it.
Okay.
So my first console that I really remember playing was Nintendo 64.
Okay.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye was phenomenal.
Amazing.
Yeah, phenomenal.
I've actually never played.
Really?
One of the best shooter games.
Yeah.
I still have a Nintendo 64, and I haven't played it, but I could play it and be entertained.
Yeah.
This is a really old game.
Mario Kart?
Mario Kart's amazing. Or did you ever play Pokemon Stadium with the games?
No, bro. Come on.
Pokemon Stadium.
Amazing game on Nintendo 64. Anyways, then PlayStation 1 came along. I played, I think, my first Pro Evolution Soccer there.
Okay.
It's kind of like the knockoff version of FIFA.
Okay.
Which was a great game. There was also this game called Spyro the Dragon. Amazing game. Metal Gear Solid also came out for PlayStation 1. It was really good. But right now I have the Xbox One and I'm a big Fallout guy and I play FIFA all the time. Those are my two games.
Right.
Speaking of FIFA, what's the situation with you and the rematch with the Severe MMA boys?
Sean Sheehan.
So you're 1-1, right?
He won.
Do you know about this?
No.
Yes,
no.
I know. I've muted all of this because it's one of my least favorite storylines.
I lost the belt. I lost the belt. But Sean Sheehan and I are supposed to compete for a title shot against Andrew McGannon, who has the belt now. But I don't know. Sean keeps running. He wants to do it on PS4. I have Xbox One.
You guys are taking too long in between matches here. This thing is dragging. Come on.
I keep telling him,
in the span of 6 months.
He's got to get FIFA 18. I'm telling him, get it for Christmas, and he didn't. So I don't know. All
right.
Played a lot of Missile Command growing up. Do you guys know that one?
No.
It's like an Atari game.
That's the grape nuts of video games.
Yeah. It's very similar, very good. But the one that I think I was most obsessed by and played a lot was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
That was my pick.
You know what I mean?
Soda
Mr.
Popinski.
Sandman.
That was my pick.
Those were the best.
That was your pick?
That was my pick, yeah.
I remember the first time because I was terrible at that game. I remember the first time I went to a friend's house. I remember my friend Brandon in Georgia. I went to his house. He was like, I can beat the game. I was like, no, nobody can beat the game. And then he just wiped the floor with it. It was like one of my, I still can remember exactly where I was from that.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal game.
How come nobody said like Super Mario Brothers?
I was going to say Super Mario 3. When he had the raccoon tail, that was awesome. When he could fly, that was a big one. I remember getting it. That was like the crown jewel.
I don't remember playing that game.
No? Super Mario 3? Mm-mm. Beavis and Butthead on Super Nintendo.
You know, I'll also say this about pro wrestling. I can't watch it.
Yes.
Because I read books. But I'll say this. Pro wrestling video games are way better than MMA video games.
Yes, couldn't agree more. The WCW one, the Nitro one, and No Mercy back in the day on N64, phenomenal.
I can't remember which ones I've played. I've just been to a friend's house. But I've always had way more fun with those.
Yeah, I agree. MMA video games have kind of been...
they're a little...
Yeah, like the Pride one back in the day on PlayStation.
They're a little...
No good. All right, what else do we have? Okay. If there's one thing you could change in the MMA media landscape, i.e. reporting, organization, etc., what would it be? I'll start with this one.
Please.
More opportunities. I don't think that 2017 was a great year for MMA media. I think, some mainstays cut back and there were less people traveling. I want to see MMA media as vibrant and healthy as possible. I do think one positive of 2017 was that we finally got the MMA JA off the ground, and we are working on that, and it's a process, but I'm very proud of that. But I'd love to see more opportunities for all of us. And the more opportunities, the more, like, it's good to have yeah, we all compete, but I want to see more people have jobs making money. Off this.
In post-fight press conferences, I want the person who starts it to have one question. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
One question and move along. Let everybody get in some questions.
Yeah.
I don't like it when
it's like
guys, hold the mic for 8 questions.
Okay. I did that.
I would agree with Ariel's pick, but I don't know. MMA is weird in the sense that, like, as a journalist, here on the beat, like, we can voice our opinion on certain matters, but usually, like, in other sports, like soccer, like, for example, like, a journalist says something about a player, I mean, that's their opinion, but the player, you don't see Cristiano Ronaldo, going back to the journalist or whatever. I feel like there's a lot of feedback sometimes from fighters.
What's wrong with that?
Media. What's wrong with that?
That's just a product of the sport not being as popular.
Exactly.
Right.
That's something maybe
you want to see that go away.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see there's a need. Sometimes I see.
But isn't that a good thing that we're that connected to them that they can reach out?
Yeah, they're very accessible in that manner.
It's good and bad. I think I share what he's talking about because our job is to give candid opinion, which may be good, maybe bad, maybe right, maybe wrong, but that's our job. And you want to be able to give the job without necessarily hurting people, but being candid. Yeah. And especially on social media with like Twitter snitches, it's just hard to do. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I really am not. And look, here's the thing. In the end, it makes you very accountable for what you say. Mm-hmm. That's the good side. Mm-hmm. The bad side is that it makes it hard to be fully candid because you're like, even if you don't even care, it's like, do I really want to deal with the blowback? Someone's going to get all bitter at me. Do I have the energy and the mental resources? Yeah. That can be, I think, a bit taxing.
I'll throw another one out there. I think that we have to do better at sourcing, and I also think we have to do better at like being less petty about sourcing, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it just should be a thing that people do, give credit where it's due, but also like the public call-outs, we should be better than that.
Yeah, I'll go one. I want everyone but people on this panel to be fired because that would make it easier for me to get interviews and stand in line at events.
Wait, that goes pretty much against what I said.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But that's one. That's the most important one. Here's the other one. I'm trying to find a way to like segment it out and like arrange my social media around it. Can I have it so that on Monday nights I don't have to have all the MMA journalists, pro wrestling tweets for Raw in my feed? Boy, that would be really
You can mute words.
I know, but I have found that the system is uneven with its success.
I've never tried.
Plus, and then occasionally I'll miss like a good article. Like there was one article about the success of the WWE Network on Deadspin that David Bixenspan wrote. And I was like, well, I wanted to read that because I think that has big implications for UFC Fight Pass. And I missed it, so I was like, but less of that would be tremendous.
All right. What else do we have? Just a couple more here. I'm currently doing dry January and trying vegetarianism for the month. Any of you tried either, and how do you cope? I miss beer and chicken.
That's the story of my life.
Now, wait, can we go back to the question for a second? He said he's currently trying...
Dry January? Does that mean no alcohol?
No alcohol.
Yeah, okay, so that's the beer part, and then vegetarianism. Have you guys ever tried anything like this?
No.
No vegetarianism, right?
I mean, I've shut down things for a month, like,
Meat? Have you ever shut down meat?
Yeah, occasionally.
Okay.
Not like, I mean, I don't know, sort of like, you'd call it a cleanse? I don't know what you'd call it, like where you just kind of cut some things out of your diet for a while.
Have you ever done a juice cleanse?
I tried that, man. That was very difficult.
Yeah,
there's no such thing. The notion of a cleanse is a phony. It's not real. There's no science to it whatsoever. Your body already naturally cleanses it. You have things called kidneys, liver, and your skin. Those are all the cleansing tools that you need. Eat right, sleep, drink water, and let your body do what it does. These things like these enemas, or, which I realize is a bit of a exaggerated example, or drinking juices, or just drinking juices and spices, and I'm going to cleanse my body. I have all these sort of, toxins. But there's no such. They can't identify these toxins. In certain cases, some of these cleanses are actually worse for you than a normal diet with water would be. It's a totally phony industry. Don't buy into it. Just live right, and you'll be just fine.
Remember Paul Thatcher?
Yes.
A photographer, a British guy. I remember.
Just had a kid.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remember him doing a juice cleanse. And I remember, I like ate a cleanse or whatever you want to call it, but he was doing that. I was like,
juice diet.
He was like 8 or 9 days into it.
Oh my
Lord.
Lord.
It's a 10-day type thing, and it was. I felt for him. I was like, that was brutal. I couldn't do it. I tried it once, and I went like 2 days, and I was like, I can't do it.
I mean, I live in Brooklyn, so I know tons of people that are doing juice cleanses, but
Tons of donks,
Yeah.
you know.
You've never done the dry thing or the vegetarian thing for a month or two?
Not really. I mean, sometimes I'll go, like, probably not drinking for a bit, but it's not intentional. It's just, you know, I was busy
By
that
chance.
weekend.
Yeah,
By chance, just because there's no beer in the fridge at that moment.
I will dial down the alcohol if I ratchet up the marijuana. That's the
Okay.
That's the balance that I really am trying to.
He's got like vice snobs. He's like, wait a second.
The truth comes out after the MMA beat. All right, what else do we have? Two more. Here we go. Since all of your teams are eliminated or didn't make the playoffs at all, hi Chuck and Luke and Danny.
F you.
I don't even have a...
Well, Miami Dolphins, right? Miami Dolphins. What team would you most like to see win the Super Bowl?
Because the Vikings have never. I always think of the fans at this point because you're like, their fans are suffering, and I'm like, the bottom line is it's in Minnesota, correct?
It is.
It'll be a home game, and they're 0-4 in the Super Bowl, so they're
never
kind
happened
of
since they did the neutral site thing.
Right, so it's like it would be all the elements would be in play for them to have their big moment.
That'd be incredible.
I know very little about football, so let's just go with Chuck's pick.
You're not a Dolphins guy.
I guess just because I lived in Miami, but I don't really tune into their games or anything.
Can you name one active football
I
player?
love these Colombians who think that this is very typical. By
Is it? Is
oh,
it?
God, I can't tell how many I know. Yeah, American football looks stupid.
I mean, I watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but can you name one active player in the NFL? One.
Odell Beckham, right?
There you go.
He's not even that. Well, he's not really active.
Yeah, well, he's injured. No, that's good. That's good.
I mean,
He's in the high.
Well, I don't know about Osama bin Segura over here. But for me, the answer is pretty simple. It's going to be New Orleans Saints. Number one, I'm not
That's
sure.
your pick?
That's who I would like to see take all the way, because for two reasons. One, I do like Drew Brees. I think he's been a good citizen of New Orleans, and he doesn't have much time left. He's still playing well. People thought he wasn't going to play well this season, and he did. And number two, New Orleans might be the best city in all of America. It is a special place. It is a cultural melting pot. The food's amazing. The fun times are amazing. I hear they have beer. I don't know this to be a fact. And I really love that city. If I could live anywhere, if I had a gazillion dollars, I would move to New Orleans tomorrow.
Funny story about New Orleans. One of their biggest fans is Daniel Cormier, and he told me yesterday that he is flying out to Boston on Sunday for his fight, which will be 6 days later, right? New Orleans is playing Sunday. He is bringing with his family all their New Orleans Saints gear, warm or cold gear for like warm weather or cold weather, in hopes of them advancing so that after his fight, Sunday, wherever they play, he is going to the NFC Championship game. He is that big of a fan.
What, Philadelphia or...
It would be
Philadelphia if they want.
Philadelphia or the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Or the Falcons.
Or the Falcons.
Yeah. So
God bless Daniel Cormier.
Yes,
Real American.
My pick, very quickly. I think they deserve some good things to happen to them. I really feel for the Patriots fans. Like I feel like they've really had a tough go.
Dave Doyle is the only Patriots fan I can tolerate.
Yeah.
The rest of them, honestly. Well, I won't get into it.
I can't even tolerate Dave Doyle's.
Yeah. I agree with your Minnesota pick. I'd also say Atlanta just because of how bad last year ended for them.
I live in Atlanta. F that city.
What about Jacksonville?
No.
Blake Bortles. Yeah. If Blake Bortles goes to a Super Bowl, there is no God.
The Bills would have been the pick, I think, for everyone, right?
It would have been, yep.
No?
I honestly did a fist pump when they lost. Don't at me.
What a guy. Okay, last one. Austin over there, very upset, born and raised.
You want to find a guy who cheers for all the losing teams in Europe? It's that guy right over there. He can't find enough jerseys for all the teams being relegated. Go ahead, please.
All right, last one. Here we go. What are your favorite non-MMA podcasts? I enjoy long form, the New York Times book review, and the occasional Joe Rogan experience.
How about a new one I'm listening to?
Yeah.
Stay tuned with Preet Bharara. Preet Bharara actually has an MMA connection, though that's not what he is. He was the U.S. attorney in Manhattan for the Southern District of New York. He was the one that prosecuted Sheldon Silver's office. And he was the guy, I think Trump ultimately fired him, but he had a reputation for being an incredible prosecutor, and everyone in his office was very talented. They brought a number of cases against some Wall Street crooks as well. Anyway, he has a podcast about law enforcement, which is something I never thought I would like. But he brings on these people like these judges to give their rationale for why they are or against the death penalty, or these New York cops who busted mob members, or other people who have worked with Robert Mueller in the past to discuss, what the special counsel might be looking into. And it's sharp, incisive analysis. He's an excellent interviewer. It's short. Each one's pretty short, and he seems like a really pleasant guy. Stay tuned with Preet. Excellent podcast.
We'll check it out. Danny, you know what podcasts are, right?
Yeah, of course.
They're like those 30 for 30s.
I listen to, every morning I listen to Up First by NPR.
Okay.
They give you, it's like a 15-minute podcast, sometimes a little shorter, sometimes a little longer. And they give you just the, I guess the most important news of the day to start off your day.
The New York Times one is great as well.
Yeah, that one's a little longer.
It's like 30 minutes.
Yeah. But I like the NPR one. It's cool. Also, The Art of Manliness has a really good podcast.
Never heard of that.
It's kind of hard to pinpoint what exactly they do, but it's just about culture, and I don't know, definitely recommend for anyone checking it out. And also, there's this other podcast I listen to called The Dinner Party Download. It's just about culture, and for example, they brought in Unseasoned Hari and just
look at you,
different.
Look at you, all cultured.
Of course, yeah.
There's no way Chuck listens to podcasts.
I do occasionally.
You do?
Yeah, but I'm blanking on the name.
Your
but there's
phone is from like 1926.
Brian Curtis and David Shoemaker do something very similar to what we do in MMA, but they do it in the headlines in general, like so.
About
any
sports.
kind of in all sports or
pop
sports media, right?
What's the ESPN? Yeah, like when that whole thing was going, they'll talk a lot about that sort of thing, and they just they're very smart. So it's you listen to their takes, and they shed a lot of light, and because I believe they both have connections to ESPN at some point, so they break down a lot of what's going on at ESPN.
Yep.
Just inside baseball stuff, but in media, you know what I mean? And I enjoy stuff like that. I like, in terms, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't listen to that many podcasts, but no other. I mean, what's Patrick Wyman's like history thing is kind of cool.
Tides of History.
Yeah, Tides of History.
And he also had The Fall of Rome.
Yeah. I mean, I've listened to a little bit of that stuff just because I know him a little bit. But honestly, I don't really listen to too many podcasts.
I listen to a podcast by Yasha Monk. I listen to one by Sam, I don't know if it's Wong or Wang. I occasionally listen to the Ezra Klein show. I'm trying to think of some other ones I listen to that are non-MMA. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Art of Manliness, here's a little plug. It started out as a YouTube channel, I believe. It no longer is just that. It's become a broader company. They have this is actually serious. People always ask me, hey, what's some lifting tips? I'm not the guy you want to talk to about that. Ask a real expert. Art of Manliness did a series on all the major lifts. These are long videos, like 30, 45 minutes, on how to bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press with Mark Ripito, famous guy started a sort of a style of lifting called Starting Strength in a book like that. And they did a huge series with him. So go check that out on YouTube. Art of Manliness, Mark Ripito.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
Good job.
I actually like a lot of radio shows that they put in podcast form because I feel one thing that I hate about podcasts is if they sound bad. So like a radio show is going to sound good, so it like kill even if I'm really interested in the interview. So there's like a bunch of radio shows that I listen to, but it's more based on like who the guest is. There's a show in Canada that's like the sports show in Canada called Primetime Sports. That's phenomenal. In particular, their Friday Roundtable. I like Richard Deitch's podcast about sports media. I think that's a really good one. Here's the Thing, which is hosted by Alec Baldwin, more so because of who he gets as guests, and I actually think he's a very good interviewer. Mark Maron's podcast is okay as well. WTF at times, depending on the guest.
It's a little stale.
Yeah. But I really I don't have a go-to. I kind of bounce around based on what's out there. I don't think there's a ton of combat sports ones. Like I'd love to, Chris Mannix does a really good boxing podcast. He gets some great guests. So there's a few, but I only listen to podcasts, nothing else. Love it. It's a great thing. I don't like what they did with the Apple Podcast app. They updated it recently. It's very hard to navigate now.
Oh, that's Apple for you.
Oh,
I got the new laptop and all that.
He's an Android guy.
Yeah.
I have an Android phone. That's the key. I don't care what anybody says. The best way to do it, Android phone, Mac laptop.
You fly a lot more than the rest of us. What do you do on a plane? Do you listen to a bunch of podcasts, or do you watch shows?
No, listen to a bunch of podcasts, and also I watch documentaries.
Yep.
I'll download them. In particular, like when a new 30 for 30 comes out, I love watching sports documentaries. I won't watch it on TV, and I'll wait. I just finished the Celtics-Lakers 3-part series, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Oh, last one. So the Sam Harris Waking Up podcast. Listen to that. I don't listen as often as I'd like, but it's a very good one.
Okay, there you go. And how about this little quick plug? The MMA Beat is in podcast form. We never mentioned that, but you can get it on iTunes or any other podcast player, if you will. Typically, we promote the YouTube stream, Twitter, all that stuff, but you can actually get this show in podcast form if you just want to listen to it. I know there are some people who ask me about it. They haven't updated the logo since we've changed it, which is a nice little, sign that they care. But that's neither here nor there. It's the same updated show each and every week. All right, we are done. We are out of time. Thank you very much for watching. We're back next week. Hopefully no bomb cyclones or anything hitting New York City. I won't be here. I will be at 220. These fine gentlemen, and hopefully a returning and healthy Jeff Wagenheim will be here as well. So we'll talk next week. For now, we shall say goodbye. For Luke, Danny, Chuck, I am Ariel. For the rest of the crew, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll talk next week.